Hello and welcome to An Online Radio Show Has a Title. I'm Saul.
And this is Alec, and we're here to break down episode 3, The Queen's Justice.
Episode Thrizzle. It's my favorite. I was gonna rewatch it and I was gonna be like, this is the only episode I've rewatched in seasons, but then I never actually ended up rewatching it. I blame Serena. It's her fault. She wouldn't watch it with me.
Well, I watched it a few times for both of us.
Good. Then you can just talk the whole time. So this scene wastes no time. It starts with Jon and Tyrion meeting on the shores of Dragonstone. And this is a pretty great character reunion. Get two guys that love each other, smiling.
Yeah, that's one of the only times you see Jon smiling.
I like it. I like all the reunions we're getting. It's sweet.
And it's showcasing Jon's acting, as best he can do.
Yeah, and the show is at its best when you can focus on just the actors.
Yeah.
So
I think that this, compared with the last episode, was like, I gave a rating better than the last few weeks.
Oh yeah, the Alec rating is up.
Yep. But I thought just the dialogue in this was very smooth comparatively. It felt natural.
Yeah, you can tell how much time they put into writing this, because they're like, okay, this is important. Dany and Jon meeting is important, so they actually staged it. And I don't think there's a whole lot going on visually, but I can stop expecting that by now. But definitely the writing is well done.
Yeah. So so to jump back to when they first met, it was in the right outside the banquet on like the first night when the Lannisters came, and Tyrion's all trashed and he's just like wandering around outside and his shadow's really big on the wall, and
And Jon is also drunk for the first time, I believe, or probably not the first time, but right. He just ran from the Great Hall crying because he's a bitch.
Catelyn didn't want him on the big table or something.
I don't exactly remember why he was. Oh yeah, because he was trying to tell Benjen. He's like, "Take me to the wall," and Benjen was like, "You're a bitch, Jon." He's like, "You're lying."
That's the night that he made the decision to join the Night's Watch.
Yeah, but that is an excellent scene. I love conversations / scenes that take place on the edges of parties. I love it because parties are loud and obnoxious, and when you get away from them and you feel like you can think for the first time in like an hour, and it's finally quiet, I find that very evocative. Great time to meet your secret cousin. Is that what they are? Are they secret cousins?
Yeah. No, it's his aunt.
No. I mean, when he met Tyrion.
Oh, Tyrion. Oh, yeah.
Tyrion would be the...
It's his aunt's...
uncle. Tyrion would be Jon's uncle because he's just Dany's brother, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Half brother.
Yeah, exactly. Half brother. But so Jon and Tyrion, they have sexy smiles at each other. Then they go into the throne room. And they pull the titles joke again, which is a good form of it. And then Sir Davos is Jon's hype man. He's like, "This is Jon."
Oh, we forgot about when the dragon flies over.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, "Holy shit!" And Missandei's looking all smug, like, "Oh, I totally saw it coming. I didn't say anything because I wanted to see you guys freak out."
Missandei should be like, "I'm friends with the dragons. They like me."
And Jon says, "I'm not a Stark." And then the dragon.
Oh, what could it mean?
I don't know.
I think
only book readers will get it.
Maybe Jon is not a Stark. He's a dragon, like a literal dragon.
I think that's what we were getting at.
That's why he came back from the dead, because he's a dragon. Oh man, it's the first time I'm figuring this all out. It's
all right. So we go and they do that scene where
Jon Snow, he's king in the north. And there's a pretty good dialogue here. Jon admits that he's coming empty-handed, but he doesn't want to, be a bitch. He's like, "No, I'm the king. It's okay. I'm the king for real." And, Dany, of course, doesn't give an inch, and she gives the "I'm so great" speech. "I did it for me. I did it because me. I believe in me. I'm the best."
Yeah. She basically said that she had faith in herself, so she is her own religion. I mean, a lot of people follow her religiously, so that kind of makes sense. Like Jesus, he started his own religion. and he put that down on the census. That's part of how he got in trouble, was he put down Christianity. But I think it's cool how Dany runs her throne room way differently, where she lets the approach, and she even comes down at the end of the scene to show that, okay, I'm willing to come a little bit. She does like repeatedly say bend the knee because she doesn't get it. Like, this is like this concept in her head, but it doesn't mean anything. Jon could just say, fine, whatever. Like, I mean, I know that he has principles, and it's kind of like what happened with Mance Rayder, where he told Mance Rayder, bend the knee and you can live. And he's like, no, you don't get it. I got to die for this. And so now Jon's in the same kind of position here.
Yeah, I definitely think that Jon is using a bit of what he learned from Mance Rayder, of the sort of iron will of the free folk. I think Jon definitely has incorporated that into part of his identity.
Oh yeah.
And I think he sees it so much more as just being a Northman now, and that's what's so cool about Jon, is he's the unifying figure of the North.
They even bring it, I think that it definitely gets brought up at one point by, I think when Davos is hyping him after, not the intro, but after that, he's like, he's the only one who the free folk believed in. These hard-ass bastards all followed him because they wanted him. They chose him. It's not because of his title or his name. And
even when they stabbed him, and then he was dead, and then he came back to life. And that's right, he came back to,
I think Dany, and that made Dany respect him more. There was just a lot of really good parallels with the way that she got her followers, even though she kind of bought the slaves.
Yeah, but she bought them and then freed them and was like, hey, hang out with me. And they were like, we choose to hang out with Daenerys Stormborn. She's cool.
Why not? We'd have nothing to do otherwise.
Exactly. That's why she didn't really free them. But,
So in this scene, they had a lot of like snappy dialogue. A lot. But Dany said, she gets on his case, and the first time he actually makes a good point instead of just saying no for like reasons is when he said, you killed my grandfather and you killed my uncle, which is technically true. But what he left out, which any Stark would have said, which Sansa would have surely said, is that your brother like raped and kidnapped my aunt. But they're not going to bring that up because
that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, because they have more beef, and that's what triggered the war, really, in the rebellion.
Yeah, the rape and killing of Lyanna is very just not very mentioned. They're really not trying to play that up.
Yeah, Sansa said it in the crypts, and then
Littlefinger gave her a smirk, and then
it's like, dude, why don't you just let on to what Littlefinger feels like is holding a lot back this season.
Jon leading with a really strong point. Your dad murdered my granddad.
Yeah.
Not okay. She's like, I agree. Not okay.
Yeah, the Mad King was bad.
Mad King, what did she say? He was... There's a word she uses. She condemns him. Yeah. Which is a little shocking.
She says, but the kids should not be held responsible for their parents. For the actions of their parents, which is like exactly what Jon was making last episode when he was letting the Karstarks and the Umber kids have their houses. I can't wait till we get to that and see how that turns out. It's such a
great time to have child lords during the battle for existence.
But I think that they were both seeing this, so they're doing a really good job embedding these, and it's like one episode away is enough that even like somebody who just watches it once would notice this.
I think there's still just a little bit of a lack of depth with Dany, but that's just kind of endemic to her character now. It's just been
we see more of the the lighter side of Dany almost than like the human side, but she puts up a face in front of Jon in this first time that she meets him that makes her look crazy. Like she has this weird look in her eye. That makes her look like this, like her eyes are smiling or something while her face is stern or something like crazy. And I think they're definitely playing that up. Like, if I were Jon, I'd definitely be a little afraid.
Yeah, but I mean, we definitely see later in the episode that it's all about appearances when the next time Dany and Jon have a scene together.
Yeah.
Does that wrap it up for the first scene between Jon and Dany?
I think so, and we can always loop back, and we might reference it in the future, I'd say.
So, yeah, I do just really like Davos in this scene. You know, he's just showing he's still a great bro to have, and I like that he accidentally spills the beans, and how Dany and Tyrion talk about that later.
Oh, and Davos seems happier, so much in a better mood with Jon than he did with Stannis.
He's like, maybe Davos thinks like, maybe Stannis was a little too much of a dick.
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't think about it a lot at the time because, one true king, but now I'm starting to, maybe we could have had fun. It would have been okay.
Yeah. And even like him introducing himself to Missandei, and then later in the episode, he shows himself personable.
Introducing himself to Missandei is a little weird. It's like, yes, your backstory, yes, and we are characters meeting.
I saw a really funny theory that's based on zero information that he once landed in Nath and had like a salt wife or like banged somebody, and so
Missandei is his daughter,
banged a frizzy-haired girl or something. Like
why not?
Yeah, it's the sailor's wife.
It's canon. It's canon. So then we go to Euron, who is dragging his prizes through the streets of King's Landing, and this was the first moment in this episode where I went like, what? Like, people in King's Landing are happy? Like, they're cheering actively for, like, things the Crown is doing. Like, I understand cheering Euron because he's, like, a new guy, and anybody that's not, like, Cersei is probably preferable, and he did just, like, win a battle for them. But it was really weird to see a depiction of the small folk of King's Landing as having no beef with everything that's happened.
Yeah. Leading up, all thematically, it kept getting worse and worse and worse of them getting more angry.
And then they just stopped. Yeah.
With like reaching its pinnacle last season, obviously at the end.
Yeah, and a lot of that had to do with like the Tyrells were loved, the Lannisters were not, and the Tyrells were like how King's Landing was eating. So it begs the question of like, where's the food coming from? What, like, why do these people believe this? There's a lot of but what do they eat going on in this episode. Like, what about Dany and her men? What do they eat?
Dragon glass.
Oh my God. If you eat dragon glass, I hear that it
cures you.
You become an other.
Yeah.
And that's
only if you're a first man.
It thematically makes sense because then it's their food that kills them. It's just like fast food. It's a thing. So, yeah, I don't really know what's going on with the politics of King's Landing, and I suspect neither do the showrunners, but
he brings through like his two they're both wearing like they're displaying their great abs, the Dornish girls, and people are throwing shit at them.
Get these well-abbed ladies out of here.
And then and Yara is like, her face is all fucked up and she looks really upset. I've heard people say that the reason she's not talking is because he tore out her tongue, because she doesn't say anything the whole time. He doesn't bring her in even to the next scene. He does talk to her and say, "Did you see Theon? What a bitch! What a twat!" I think that Euron's improved a lot this season.
Well, he actually got to do something. When you introduce a character and he has nothing to do but get beat and get like made look like a fool, it's like, okay, this character's a fool. Now they're like, oh shit, we actually need to make him do stuff. So Euron does some stuff. He was successful. He brings it into the throne room, and there's a little bit of Euron Jaime action going on where Euron is making fun of poor Jaime. Poor Jaime.
Jaime got some good face acting that you love. He looks so mad.
More Jaime reactions.
He looks so mad when he says that, "How does your sister like it? A finger in the bum?"
Jaime's like, "She does like that. How does he know?"
It's like, dude, like Jaime should have punched him.
In front of everybody. That's like what Cersei would actually do. It's like,
well, I feel like it's like disrespectful. But by doing nothing, he's like admitting it. Or he could laugh. If he laughed, it would be like, "Oh, good joke, brother."
Good joke, bro. It's like, I don't have a great relationship with my brothers.
He's secretly with Yara. Jamie and Yara.
I do. I like the acting that Yara's actor does in that scene leading up, even though she doesn't talk. It's like, she looks pissed.
She looks defeated. Yeah, she looks defeated, but still like she's not gonna give up or anything.
Yeah, she's like, well, this sucks, but maybe someday.
She's gonna spit in his face when she has a chance.
Yes, that's true. She will. So Cersei celebrates Euron to the peoples and says that he will have what he desires after the war, aka after they're all dead. So,
and he's like, the look on his face is funny when she says that you're not gonna, or not right now. He's like, oh. It's like, how would he has to know. He's just as like conniving as her. He has to know that she doesn't intend on doing this.
I mean, I have a feeling that he wouldn't really know because, Cersei's a wild card and he'd go into this hoping that she would,
But it's advantageous to him too. He even points it out that the small folk never like Greyjoys, but it's easier than ever to get the small folk. They just like prisoners or heads on spikes, I think they say at one point.
Yeah, that's like what?
They even comment on it. Yeah, that was, yeah.
And I don't understand how King's Landing is still standing at all. So Dany's siege also never gets started. Wasn't that the plan? Wasn't that going to happen?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that doesn't really happen.
They sent off we're going to have to talk about their fleet a little. We can talk about it later.
Yeah.
But we don't know where their ships are, and they need to like divide them up a little better.
Yeah, we don't really know anything about what's going on with Dany.
Yeah.
Like, her position in the war is really bad, considering like all the like advantages she has coming in with the dragons and, nobody really expecting her. It's just like, man, shit really got fucked up real fast. Then we have the scene with Cersei and Ilaria, and the episode just grinds to a halt for a good 4 to 5 minutes. We know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Ilaria and her daughter have never been important. We just need to watch, Cersei do a victory lap.
Yeah.
And this really feels like reverse engineering a show based on how you dolled out the screen time. It's like, well, we negotiated with Lena Headey. She needs to be in X scenes, so we can put her in this scene. She'll get to be smug and do Cersei things. But I mean, there's no narrative function.
I heard that part of the reason that they have fewer episodes, and I should have realized this before, is because they pay the actors by episode, which is like such an obvious loophole. If they're like, oh, okay, because the average episode's probably like 65 minutes this season. The last one's like 81 minutes. So, but they're paying people like $1 million an episode for the top 4 actors. But wouldn't you be pissed if you're like thought you were getting $10 million and you're only getting $7 million?
I can't relate. But I think it's more just because making TV is such a a run against time, and
I think they're doing a good job, so I'm not gonna complain too much.
Well, I definitely don't, but I like the concept of running 7 episodes, so more happens. Like last season was so backloaded, nothing happened until the last 2 episodes. Yeah. It's nice to actually see some real developments occur in this episode. And I said in the first episode of our podcast that I was really looking forward to enjoying the show as just like trash TV and like looking at it with lowered expectations. Mm-hmm. And like this episode was the trash that was promised. Like there's just so much happening that so little of it makes sense, but it also just doesn't matter at all. It's like, I'm not looking for, the interpretation of the characters from the books or, the tight arcs or anything. It's like, I just want cool stuff to happen.
I really liked Cersei's acting in this. And I could totally see on her lips. I was like subconsciously like noticing she's wearing like bright pink lipstick, which she doesn't normally do.
Yeah, I remember you were saying that the night of the master of makeup and hair. He saw it. He knew. It's so stupid. She's thinking about like how it would be poetic to have her head get crushed by the mountain too. It's like, but this is even more poetic. It's like this is some George Lucas poetry right here.
Yeah. So this in this episode, she captures all the murderers of her children, the actual murderers of her children. besides Tommen, who you could argue would be herself.
No, Tommen killed Tommen.
Okay.
They caught him when he hit the ground.
But she captures all the actual murderers of her children, of 2 of 3.
Shout out to my boy Tommen looking at us from the heavens. Love you, man.
King's Landing.
Yeah, it's so overwrought. The I'm gonna do it's poetic, and then I kiss your daughter. What I really think is that Cersei wanted to come up with a not gay way to kiss a girl. She's like, it's not gay because I was murdering her. It's fine. It's like, Cersei, it's fine that you're gay. And she's like, I'm not gay. Okay.
She has some gay stuff in the books.
And then she especially tries to be not gay when she goes and bangs Jaime after this. And they have a callback to the unfortunately filmed rape scene where Jaime's like, no. And then they bang anyways.
Oh, I didn't think of that. Yeah, I thought that it was her Mad Queen coming out, that she got all like turned on like Ares used to. She got all turned on by this like terrible thing that she was doing, this violence, and her violence was even a little bit sexual in nature.
Torturing and murdering people would definitely get her hot. And also it was like, you know, full circle with it being the people that killed one of her kids, right. Of like, now I go back to the source, right. Jaime's penis.
And she might have just beat out Jorah as the most risky disease behavior, or risky poison or disease behavior.
Oh, yeah, just making out with him
going to kiss Jaime immediately after just wiping off her mouth.
Yeah, Sam probably should have waited till after he did the grayscale, operation, like to bang Jorah. I really thought that was kind of out of character for him. He's careful.
Well, you could tell that Sam was the bottom initially, but then when Jorah puts his hand on top of his in that handshake, because Jorah's so happy that he can hold hands with people again. Oops. And then when Jorah puts his hand on top over Sam's, it's saying, I'm also a bottom for you.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Jorah's always struck me as a power bottom. You know, it's from the north. Yeah, no, those two are sweet. So Jaime is just so weak. What a weak, like, no, it's like, no, I want this. Like, his entire character in the show is just, what a weak little bitch.
And this even, especially at the end of this episode when he talks to Olenna, you really start feeling bad for him, because you can see he really drank the Kool-Aid, and he really thinks there's like there's an after story. He like totally thinks that they can pull this off.
Yeah, Olenna gets to be the audience assertion character. It's like, Jaime, look at your choices. What are you doing?
So he sleeps over, which is a big no-no when Dad was here, but now it's all good. He sleeps over. He wakes up next to her, staring at her. It's almost like would be romantic and cute if they didn't have such a dysfunctional, incestuous relationship.
Also, if they weren't both the worst.
Yeah. And so
it is cute though. You do kind of get to revel in their comfort that they can do this. You know, so they can feel free to do something they've never done before.
And I always thought that, I don't know who, I think in the show one of them brought it up, and in the books the other one brought it up, but like them just saying fuck it and getting married.
Yeah, I think Jaime says that we should do this, and Cersei's like, no, that's dumb. And that's what I like about them in the books, is that both of them are right a lot. Like, Cersei gets to be more righter than Jaime, but then after that, it's basically Cersei is the wrongest, and Jaime's like, no, I think like Jaime sees a little more than they do, but then when his knowledge gets like put to the test of the world, it's like they're both in over their heads way too much.
I think I see where they're going with this Jaime arc, and Jaime was going on like a gallant, chivalrous arc where he was like redeeming himself and doing all that shit for Catelyn Stark. And then like they just veered off to him just following Cersei, and he's totally going to get like, they're going to end up killing each other, just like the prophecy, obviously.
His arc went on a hiatus for a little while. Now they're like, oh shit, we got to start the opposite arc now where he gets punished for being an idiot.
I guess now that they made maybe it was their plan, just make the audience like him, follow the books, and then when you can't follow the books anymore, then take it into he then wrap him into Lena's arc, basically.
Yeah, they got into humanizing him, but I don't think they went as far enough to like let you like him, because in the books you really do start liking Jamie.
Yeah.
Like Jamie's one of my favorite characters of the books because he is, I mean, he's a bro. He likes hanging with people. Not really by the end, he gets very emo, but he's sweet and you feel for him and the shitty things that he does and you understand, but there's not a whole lot of that for show Jamie, which, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, you get to be in his head a little more. You even like, for me, I think you kind of like Cersei a little more in the books, but her acting is so good in the show that you kind of like her too.
Yeah, you don't really get the fun of like fucking crazy Cersei, where it's just like, wow, you're making so many bad decisions at once, but I understand why you're making them, because shit was bad for you. Her dad was such an asshole, but in a lot of things, and they don't really have the opportunity to bring this forward in the show, but it's like, this is a woman that is like still nursing a slight that like a non-existent slight that occurred when she was 13. Like, it had nothing to do with her. It had everything to do with her father. And she just gets so pissed that she couldn't marry Rhaegar. And she just is still mad.
Was she 13 when that happened?
Yeah, she was a baby.
Yeah, she wanted to be a pretty princess.
Yup. And she's like, now I finally get to.
She literally never got to be a princess. That's kind of shitty, because every girl wants to be a princess. Do people want to be queen? Not as much. Well, now that they have no power, especially.
So after the banging scene, it moves on to the Iron Bank scene.
But before that, we see the new haircut of the handmaidens, which, like, a lot of them have shorter hair now. And the one sees them. I think that now that the faith is out of it, like, 2 seasons ago, we would have been like, uh-oh, she's gonna testify against them to the faith. Not anymore.
Thank God.
Cersei's just like, I don't care. That's still like kind of irresponsible. Like, why make more problems when you're about to get married?
I love it.
It's kind of like when Dany is banging Dario on like the morning of her wedding to his Dar in the books.
His Dar was probably banging some prostitute.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, that the other person's gonna find out. It is a political wedding, but Euron doesn't want to like directly have Jaime's seconds. Although
I feel like Euron really wants to bang Jaime, and he just doesn't really know how to express himself. Also, he's got a bad case of the not gays.
Yeah, there's some picture kicking around. Actually, I saw the picture a long time ago, but I didn't realize the relationship they were going to have of them in a soccer game in Spain.
I saw a tweet that was like, when your sister makes you hang out with her husband.
Yeah.
So then we get to the Iron Bank with Tycho Nestoris, played by Sherlock's brother.
Yep.
And this is really nothing scene. Like, he's basically like, yeah, we're behind you. We'll help you, if you win. Like, why is the Iron Bank not taking Dany's side? I don't get it. I mean, I do get it because of how bad Dany is at war so far, but
I thought it was weird that they want to collect all the money. He said they're calling in the whole debt, which like doesn't usually happen. Instead of, I could see like a bigger chunk of interest, a goodwill payment. Basically they're calling her out because they don't think she has it. They probably know.
I mean, he knows that she doesn't have it. So why is he really betting on her as like the most likely to win? It seems stupid. Like, why would this person that already owes you a bunch, why would you then go to fund them? Like, I get that she's different than like Robert was and, her kids, but do you think that difference is really better? Like, the Iron Bank really seems stupid.
I think it's funny, yeah. And by like her saying, "Oh yeah, I have it. Don't worry, I'll pay it," and he's like, "You're so much better than your father at this." He's so good at giving her compliments. I thought it was weird that Daenerys freed the slaves, which messed up the slave trade, and the Iron Bank, like apparently in the show, invests in slavery.
That could be true, though, even in the books. We don't really know that much about
they're probably diversified.
Yeah.
But Braavos is anti-slave in general.
Yeah.
But they're also anti-dragon.
Yeah, he would feel comfortable, saying whatever to Cersei, though. He wouldn't feel the need to protect his, Braavosi what is it? His PR, basically. You
Yeah.
know? All right. And then the next scene after this is Tyrion and Jon talking on the cliffs. And we get some pretty good Peter Dinklage talking about Kit Harington brooding. Getting very meta here. Tyrion's always been the kind of meta character to say things that the audience says. Because he's so smart. And he understands.
And Tyrion respects Jon's handsomeness.
I mean, how can you not? What a hot guy. I'm a prisoner. You have my boat.
I think it's really funny how Dragonstone... I think it kind of looks obvious that they're shooting it in a lot of different locations, because the one part looks like the Great Wall of China. And then
you think that's where they shot it, in the Great Wall?
Yeah. And then this... I wonder if this is at the same place and what the structure is. And we were asking earlier in the episode where the fuck Jon's big boat was.
Then there it was.
There was. Yeah. So that answers that.
I appreciate the scene because there's color and stuff is pretty and it's nice to look at. 10 out of 10. You know, well, more of that, please. I like to think that Tyrion is already planning on brokering Jon and Dany's marriage, and he's just kind of playing both sides now. I get that sense a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, give me something to work with. And he really just like tries to lead Jon to water. Then he's like, fucking drink it, you asshole. It takes so long for Jon. And it's like, okay.
He's like Hitch. He's like a short white Hitch.
Why didn't Will Smith play Tyrion? And then Tyrion and Dany have a good scene, and Dany calls him, are you trying to pass off ancient knowledge? Are you trying to pass off your own thoughts as ancient knowledge? It's like, never to you.
Yeah.
It's like, how often does Tyrion do this shit? Because he's especially because he grew up with Jaime. It's like, Jaime's not going to know. You can just fucking make up anything and say you read it in a book. And Jaime's like, what's a book?
But he's not wrong.
It's just kind of funny how much screen time is given to this like 2 days in which Jon is there with Dany.
Yeah.
And then in the end of the episode, like practically the last 10 minutes of the episode, there's stuff that basically it would take 6 months plus to happen in the books that just happens instantaneously.
Yeah.
In retrospect, looking across the episode and just seeing how much time is spent at Dragonstone, it's just like, what?
They definitely kick the time traveling into high gear. So the fact that everything else is happening so fast makes it feel like he's stuck there for a long ass time.
He's been there for months.
Cersei says she needs a fortnight to get the gold. Euron's in the capital right before that. By the time that Casterly Rock is taken at the end and they're going to Highgarden, those troops would have needed to be able to go all the way to Highgarden and take it and back. And Euron would have had to go all the way around Westeros within a fortnight.
Again, which he has already done. He knows about the secret tunnel through the mountains. Secret tunnel. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening in a very short time period. And, there's actually a scene earlier on where Dany and her crew are talking about their ships being taken. And Dany's talking about how she can't just ride I just want to ride around my dragon so I can burn them. And they're like, that's not a good idea. Also, we can't risk losing you. It's like, wait, what? You're not going to let Dany use her dragons? What's the point? Why do you think the dragons are like good thing? And it's like,
she has a dragon drone control so she can fly it remotely.
She's like Buster in the season 4 of Arrested Development. You know, she's a drone pilot. She doesn't even realize the dragons are real.
Was he like playing a video game? Oh,
yeah,
he thought he was playing a video game. That's funny. Kind of like Ender's Game.
Ender's Game. Oh my god. I read this tweet recently that was like, oh man, Ender's Game is such great criticism of the U.S. military. That's excellent. And then Orson Scott Card was like, what do you mean criticism? It's praise, you fucking idiots. It's like, oh my god, Orson Scott Card is the worst.
Was it praise?
I mean, I guess Orson Scott Card thinks so because he is such a fucking weirdo. I don't know how you can write that book and think that you are like praising the military.
Yeah, especially the N ones.
Torturing fucking children to make them good at war is the right thing to do. That's basically what Orson Scott Card is saying for reals, I guess. It's a little weird.
I guess. Well, it almost seems like at the very outset, everyone's like 50. The average age of the people involved in all the conflicts is 50. And then 1 year later, the average age is like 20.
Tyrion's like the oldest person in Westeros now. Especially now that Olenna bit it.
Yeah.
So, Tyrion and Dany talk about it a little bit. Blah, blah, blah stuff happens. And then we go to Winterfell. And we get Sansa doing some ruling stuff.
Yeah.
And I like this scene a lot. Except for the fact that why wasn't all of this stuff done in the first episode? Like when Jon, like what was Jon doing? Was he doing nothing? Because she's literally telling them like very basic stuff about how they're going to get food and like what the plans are for the winter. And she's just like I like to think that she took control and she's like, wait, Jon didn't do any of this shit? Oh my fucking God.
I took it as that these are new things that needed to be done, or that the Vale people just started doing something differently. Maybe it just took Jon like a lot of his free time thinking about the Umbers and the Karstarks.
And he didn't then think about like, what are we gonna do for food this winter?
Yeah, he's used to the night. He's used to the Night's Watch, where people like kind of know what to do a little bit.
Yeah, you guys know about food, right? Yeah.
So we got Bronze Jan Royce in another huge scene where it's becoming obvious that they're like pushing him up into the foreground. So. Because something has to happen with Baelish. And Royce has been in so many scenes. And Royce already really didn't like Baelish.
Royce has got a lot of screen time and no character. So he's like ripe for the killing. But and then the scene
ends. I was thinking he's going to take over.
Oh.
And so he's going
to take over and then Littlefinger's going to have him assassinated or something?
No. I was thinking like after Littlefinger is dead, he's gonna take over stewardship or whatever.
Oh yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Why? Oh, you think?
I just think Littlefinger's way more important. That Bronze Jan is not really important to the story at all. So he's just like there.
Okay, he's there for a reason though. Whether it's him being, I could see him being horribly murdered too. Obviously.
I like the scene where she's like, are they not using leather? And he's like, oh. And then he goes over and he says the thing that Sansa said to him. Are you not using leather? That's funny. It's just really nice to see Sansa in charge of stuff. And then Littlefinger.
Is this the part where he does the picture every battle in your mind?
In your mind palace.
Yeah. And it's like...
I mean, I like it because that's what Littlefinger does. And he's trying to make Sansa... he's trying to throw her off her game a little bit and make her paranoid, basically. Yeah. And which I don't think is really the right, is truly the right way to go about life, but it certainly like makes sense. And I think he thinks it's good advice,
Yeah. I think it's showing us a lot more about him than it is like any sort of advice for her. If anything, she's just going to be more paranoid of him. But no,
I think she does take it to heart. I think she does take it to heart, though, because now this is his first time actually saying this to her as like an advisor when she is like ruling Queen of the North.
Just because somebody's scummy doesn't mean that their advice isn't true.
And someone who's had as much success as Littlefinger, she definitely respects his abilities. And it's nice to get back on the right track with that relationship. Lovers. So then...
and then Bran shows up.
Yeah, after the Sansa scene, we get a great Bransa scene. And, oh my God, fuck this scene. I just let me feel good about Starks reuniting. Give me another Jon and Sansa scene, basically. Just like, it makes no sense that Bran, because he's been warging, like all of a sudden doesn't care about his sister, like wouldn't hug his sister like a normal human.
Yeah. Even as Bloodraven, he should definitely realize the importance of Bran Stark as a figure. And if he's not Bran, then they're not going to listen to him at all if he's like saying BS about flying through people's minds and bringing up the most fucked up shit.
And also just like Bran didn't stop being a human being. Like apparently there is this like invisible arc that he went on when he was on his season off where he became Data. It's like, what the fuck? Get his emotions chip back in him.
He seemed okay when, like, he still seemed to be Bran after they left the cave. It seems like they like ramped it up a lot.
Yeah, like before this, like, oh, he's gonna get to Ed and then he's gonna be weirdo to Ed. Then he's gonna get to Sansa and he's gonna be like, you were so beautiful the night that you were raped. I'm sorry it had to happen here. It's like, what? Who thought this was a good idea?
I guess after the wedding was beautiful though.
Yeah, it was very pretty.
Maybe like Summer and Hodor's death really affected him more than you could know.
I wish that we actually got some sort of arc instead of having to guess of why Bran is acting like such a weirdo.
Well, it's not cool. Oh, I thought it was one thing that I noticed was like his face was very like still, extremely like he got some cortisone injections or something, and he was like sitting next to the tree when they showed him in the wheelchair, and they both he didn't have the same face as the tree, but they were both like.
I find it really offensive that they have an actor in tree face, actually.
The Children of the Forest pretty much are tree face.
Yep. So, yeah. That happens. Bran's unfortunate arc continues. And then we get a little bit more of Sam and Jorah.
Oh, yeah.
And I really, I thought that I was so done with Jorah and I was sick of him, but seeing him being like happy and smiling for the first time, and I think it might just be more I like Ian Glenn a lot, but it's really nice to see Jorah happy again.
I found it so annoying. He really does have some weird affection for Dany, like crazy. I found it really weird that where are you gonna go, Jorah? Well, Daenerys, the only reason I'm alive, I was gonna take my life at my own hands if it weren't for this disease gonna kill me. It's like, dude, you were probably gonna. I mean, I don't like. He's like
find a hobby, Jorah.
Yeah,
good God.
Stockholm syndrome, or a citizen of the country in like a terrible regime where he's like wants to take orders.
He's a creepy old man. I really wish that he would change his focus to, the shining light far on the hillside to, the burning candle right in front of him and, really return Sam's feelings.
Fat pink mask.
Oh my, this is the scene that we've been waiting for, is Sam and Jorah's banging scene. And then Gilly can do something. She can react to Sam being a bastard cheater.
Yeah.
And then she can kill Jorah.
She could say.
I just figured
and then little Sam, who's 5 years old, can say, "You're not my daddy." But anyway, Jorah now has no scabs, it's just scars.
Oh, I thought it was really dumb when the Archmaester was like, oh yeah, I can tell by this stick that he's totally fine and I'm not worried at all about the lingering effects of this disease.
You are no longer contagious.
What? What?
Well, he only gave him one night to kill himself or get out. Or go to Volantis.
I don't understand how Sam and Jorah aren't being thrown out, but I guess it's just completely cured. This is how you can just tell if someone...
Did you think you would get a reward?
It's like, I thought maybe the story would move a little bit, but it didn't, so I guess not.
Arch Ebro says, did you think you would get a reward? Oh, here are all these old scrolls.
Fucking clean it up, Sam, you bitch.
You were shoveling shit. Now I'm gonna let you access like secret scrolls that tell about Jon's parentage and what else could be in them. Ways to fight the White Walkers, like cool shit that he needs to access.
I like to think like it's a bunch of useless information, like the amount of freckles on Robert Baratheon's back.
I always found it weird in the Night's Watch that you could get sent to the Citadel and then you have vows with both. I never understood quite how that worked because they're like kind of mutually exclusive in some ways. Like you have to either be loyal to the Citadel or the Night's Watch.
Yeah, that's kind of true. And I think that it just kind of is a function of the show that we're not really going to get a chance to see what it is that the Citadel's, what their agenda is.
Yeah, I think it gives Sam like a great amount of freedom because he can kind of set it out, hey, I'm just here on Night's Watch orders, but at the same time he can live with a girl.
I feel like it would just be so easy to fake your death and be like, well, that was easy, not part of the Night's Watch anymore. But Sam would never do
There's
that.
only like 50 of them up there.
Yeah, honestly. And you're going all the way to the bottom of Westeros, like that's
And he's
far
the
away.
one who's like the main dude who was keeping all the records there too. Sam, right?
Yeah.
Well, at that point, when he was there. So Jorah is out of there,
Yeah, Jorah's back in the game, yo.
and he was quite happy. He put on that shirt, that scummy shirt.
He played his favorite song on his iPod as he walked out of the Citadel.
He got that great confirmation of bottom handshake.
Now he's gonna go be like, Khaleesi, it's me, Khaleesi, Khaleesi. And she's gonna be like, this fucking guy.
Now he
Kill
can
him.
Now he can deliver that letter by hand.
Ooh.
Although I think the letter said he was going to kill himself.
Khaleesi, I was gonna kill myself until you. It's like, I don't care. I just stop. Please stop. So then after that, we get the amazingly trashy part of this episode that I love so much is when the battles happen. And
Oh yeah.
they happen so fast. There's a little bit of continuation of the theme of fighting wars in your head, that this is Tyrion kind of narrating his ideas and you see them happen.
I
in
kind of
front us.
liked how we weren't sure whether it was the real battle because they didn't need to do all the shit. Like, I think it was supposed to be, but the first time I watched it, I kind of thought that Tyrion was saying it would be really hard to do it this way, and that's why they were showing the guys climbing up the outside. But then, like, good thing I was so scummy that I, like, took the sewer.
I didn't really know what was happening, to be honest. I was a little bit just like, I still don't understand why Tyrion wanted to take Castle Rock, like why he thought that was important. And it just makes no sense of why the dragons aren't there. Like, they went with the boats, and then the fleet shows up. It's like, okay, well, why can't you have the dragons here with you? Like, what is the point of having dragons? Like, what the fuck is happening? And the amount of time it takes. So they have to sail all the way around Westeros, go, into Lannisport, and, try to take Casterly Rock. And then at the same time, Jaime isn't there. Like, Tyrion thinks that Jaime is going to be there with the army. Is that, like, where the Lannister army is? Is that the point?
I think he thought that was the main force, and they were going to be, like, taking a slightly underhanded... like they were going to be fighting like 8 against 8 to 10 or whatever. Like they would have been shortly underhand, which they probably would have maybe lost in that case because they're attacking a fortified like hill, getting a few guys in. If they were doing it like they showed, that's not very good. So they're pretty lucky that the main force wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess storming it could have worked if it was more full, but at the same time, it's like, and then the fleet shows up and they're all fucked anyways, and it's like, now they're besieged there.
And they had and they had moved all the grains and everything out. So that's the other part of it is they're fucked on that count. So they move like the loot and the food.
It just goes to show that we have no idea where the Lannister men are and where the like remaining Tyrell men are. Like, are they not at like? Why didn't Olenna stay with Dany? Why did she think it was safe to go back? Like, where is the Tyrell army? Why aren't they at Highgarden? And like, where was the Lannister army? Was it at King's Landing or was it at the Rock? And why would it be at the Rock?
I think it was sent directly from. A lot of it was sent from they made it sound like the majority of it was at the Rock, and that they sent that to Highgarden.
Why would they be at the Rock? Well, there's nothing has been happening. It's like I don't get it.
To keep it from Tyrion, I don't know. I think like at least in the books they show like a fondness, and it's a lot more fortified in the books, and you wouldn't need all your military there to hold it.
I like that we're finally getting like Casterly Rock as a location,
and Highgarden, which both places I wanted to see really bad.
Yeah, both places have never been in the book. There's just that scene in Jaime's
but it
dream.
Kind of wasn't impressive to me.
I mean, it wasn't, and they skipped both scenes, and they even had Jaime mentions like, yeah, we skipped the battle scene, just like we did with Robb Stark.
Yeah.
Like, they're literally like, he's like, oh yeah, we moved the army to where you weren't, just like Robb Stark did to me. It's like, why is he still, like, that is a basic tenet of warfare. Like, what? Like, obviously you want to keep what you're doing a secret and you want to do what the opponent doesn't know you're doing. And it just, like, it was such a ham-fisted way to try to draw the parallel and show that Jamie has learned from Ra.
And even Elena's like, you must be really wise by now with all the fuck-ups. Because Jamie says that, like, every mistake allows a learning opportunity or whatever.
Which is true of Jamie's arc in the books and in the show. That he fucks up a lot.
Highgarden is supposed to have the biggest standing army, bigger than Casterly Rock even. So if they weren't there or with Daenerys, they like, and she said they're bad at fighting like flowers.
Yeah, like what? That's not like, okay, so
they're they're not supposed to be bad at fighting.
I mean, they're just, this like goes against an entire like concept of, or an entire theme of, you know, A Song of Ice and Fire, which is that men are men, like people are the same. You know, like these soldiers aren't inherently better than any other soldiers. They just are loyal to this house. But then we have the leader of this house saying, oh, our soldiers suck because they're just a bunch of golden flowery flowers. It's like, what? What?
It's like that route they took with making Loras the only heir. I knew they were doing something weird with that, and I don't know if they planned it, but
they did not. They did not plan anything that had to do with the Tyrell arcs.
Okay,
the Tyrell arcs are a mistake from the word go.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Dan and Dave, the show ruiners, were just like, we're just like, George told them in the outline the Tyrells eventually like die. And so they're like, all right, we'll just like simplify it.
They tried to give the Tyrells their due, but they had no idea how to do that with Loras and Marjorie. And they were like, I love that their final admittance of everything we tried to do in seasons 5 and 6 was a mistake. It's like, just blow them all up. It's fine. They're dead. We blow them up. They're gone. And unfortunately, they also don't know how to write Elena, who's a political character that's supposed to be smart. So, of course, she never does anything smart in the entire show. And now that she's dead, you know, we get to see the only thing she ever did was, like, be snarky to people. Yeah, that's true. That's her essence.
But, hey, that was some good snark at the end. Totally.
Oh, I like the scene a lot.
Now Jamie's going to have to go home to Cersei and say,
well... I just love it so much when she's like, well, if I'm gonna die anyway, it's like, it was me, dog. I killed Joff and I do it again.
Oh, but I didn't mean it to be that gross. And then he's just like, he doesn't even say anything. He just like storms out like a bitch.
Jamie's like still wondering what emotions he should be feeling about Joff because he like doesn't feel anything. And he's just like, oh man, that was supposed to be my son. I should probably be angry about this. He's like, get angry, grr. And then he walks out and he's like, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. But it's still a stain on his honor. His honor.
Oh yeah. Oh God, his honor now. It would be really funny if somebody was actually filling in the white book. Somebody watching the show.
Yeah, Jamie's not doing so
I thought what he did, I liked how they did the Riverlands. They tried to do the Riverlands plot in last season, right? Where he went to Edmure.
Yeah, and
then they killed the Blackfish for no reason.
He threatens to catapult his babby.
Yeah. That was good. Like, that was something useful that saved lives in the long run.
I'm gonna go ahead and take your word for it because I didn't see that episode.
Oh, yeah. Basically, they did the Riverland, like a very short version of it.
Yeah, I read the Wikipedia summary, so I feel like I've seen it.
But we don't know where Edmure is now, anyway.
All right. Oh, and when Jamie's coming down, he's got I bought into xenophobia, Lord Tarly behind him, and his new buddy Bronn, who's fighting on the opposite side of his bro Tyrion. So that's sad that they're fighting on the opposite sides of this war, Bronn and Tyrion.
Yeah, something tells me it won't come to 1-on-1. And this is the first we've seen Bronn, right?
Yes.
This whole season.
Yeah.
I think
he didn't sing in this episode though, which is bullshit. Bronn should sing every time.
Because remember, he was a pop star. Like, people don't know that. Andy dated Lena Headey. People don't know that. She refuses to be in the same room with him. People don't know that. We got to get the word out. So is he gonna save Tyene?
I mean, he has to. Tywin. His one true love, right?
Yeah. It's like in Lost, you only get one true love.
Maybe that'll be one of his rewards that he asks for.
She showed the boobs, gave him the antidote.
Did she show him boobs and also poison him and then give him the antidote?
I thought he was poisoned by a dagger wound from the battle, and then she showed the boobs and gave the antidote. It could have been her that gave him the dagger wound too. But so he needs to show up, go do some reps of chest, show up, take off his shirt, tell her she's the most beautiful woman in the world.
Poison her.
Oh wait, no, but that's already done. She is Cersei. He is Cersei for the poisoning. So he's gonna go. Wait,
but isn't Tyene just still? Oh, because she is. Okay, yeah.
Because Cersei poisoned her.
Yeah.
But we don't know how much time passed between Myrcella on shore and in the boat, but they were still right in the harbor. So Tyene's going to live like 30 minutes.
I mean, Tyene can live as fucking long as she wants because time doesn't matter. And time doesn't matter.
That's true.
So I'm assuming she's going to be the last one alive or Dolorous Head, one of the two.
Tyene?
Yeah, Tyene or Dolorous Head will be the last man standing.
Oh. Okay.
Tyene will headbutt the great other and then die of her poison. So we get the opening of this war. The war is really kicked into gear now. A war in which dragons will not be used at all. Daenerys is going nowhere with her soldiers other than the Rock for some reason, and her fleet is half destroyed over and then the other half got destroyed this week, right? Because they were getting destroyed by Euron at the end after they took the Rock. So that's all going on, and where the Tyrell soldiers are and the Lannister soldiers are all just so Cersei can be in a better position than Dany. It's like, you guys probably could have come up with something better.
But we do know a chunk. I'd say the Lannister army has been cut by 10%, maybe, who were at the Rock. And then the Tyrell army is done. House Tyrell is officially out. So I don't know who. Suck. I guess now Tarly could be the new, if they make it that long.
Yeah, I'm feeling he would be the obvious pick to get Highgarden.
Since he did betray his liege lord.
And it wasn't even like, we need to take Highgarden so we have food. It was just like, I guess we're taking Highgarden now. You thought I was going to be over there, but instead I am over here. Checkmate.
Yeah, didn't she bring them in before? Like, she brought them in to talk to them before the Iron Bank even came. So she already was conspiring to take Highgarden. It wasn't just like to get money.
No, it was very clearly like, oh, we're going to do this because we can. And it also just doesn't make any sense. Like, are there not scouts? Are there not people watching? Like, there's
no scouts anywhere. There's no
watchtowers. There's no scouts. It just makes the entire country of Westeros seem like it's actually just 4 towns that are right next to each other, and there's no actual people.
Considering how fast people can travel, scouting should be really easy.
Exactly.
And really useful.
All right, and that's the whole episode. I don't think I have anything more to say.
I have nothing more. I gave this a big fat 8.3 out of 10.
A big fat 8.3.
Yeah. I think I gave a 7 for the last 2.
I rate this episode as entertaining. Entertain me, Game of Thrones. Don't bore the fuck out of me. Keep it going. I want more nonsensical battles next week. I want more trash. I want more garbage going everywhere. It's what I want.
And if you guys are thinking about watching the leaked episode, I'd say do not do it. Wait for HBO.
Wow.
All right. I guess we will see you next time.
Well, or, see us for the first time. We don't see through...
Okay, you'll hear us.
An online radio show that has a title.
All right, you'll hear us.
You'll hear us again. Especially you, Jake.